Hello everyone, welcome to the Pilgrim Area Collaborative podcast. Today we have the Director of Pilgrim Academy and Pilgrim Area Collaborative, Dympna Thomas.
Hi Noah, hi everyone. My name is Dympna Thomas and I'm the Executive Director of Pilgrim Area Collaborative. Thank you all for having me today.
It's good to meet you. To start off with our first question, what college did you attend to get your degree?
So I went to 4 different colleges. I did my bachelor's at Anna Maria College, which is a small college outside of Worcester, where I grew up. I then did my master's degree at Worcester State University, and then I did my Certified Advanced Graduate Studies at Bridgewater State University, and then my PhD at Boston College.
It's wonderful. How many years did you attend Boston College?
In total, because it was part-time, I did 3 years of coursework, and then it took me about 8 months to finish my dissertation and graduate.
Do you know how many years it took for all 4 colleges together?
Oh boy. So 4 years of my bachelor's, and then I was a teacher and I was doing my master's part-time. And so that was at night. So that was, I think, another maybe year and a half or maybe 2 years. Then I went from that, I was teaching at this time, and I became a professional development coordinator, and I started in leadership. So I did administrative work, and that was my Certified Advanced Graduate Studies that I did at Bridgewater State. So that probably took me another 2 years. And then I think I had a little bit of a gap. I think there was a little bit of time. And then I started my PhD soon right after my son was born, my first child.
What originally drew you towards your career in education and leadership?
So what drew me was I am a first-generation American, and my parents were born in Ireland. And every summer, we would go back to Ireland, or in some cases, because my mother was one of 13 and my father was one of 10, we would go to either Ireland, England, or Scotland to visit their siblings, their parents, etc. And I'm actually from a long line of teachers and administrators all overseas. And so I spent my summers actually visiting schools. And so I think I started getting involved in that through those experiences. And then as I was going to school, I did a lot of volunteering, and I taught different classes, after school programs, and things of that sort, which led me to want to focus on teaching as a career for college. With administration, I honestly didn't know that I would be offered an opportunity to apply for a position. I was a teacher in Worcester Public Schools, and I was asked by the principal if I would consider applying for the professional development coordinator on the South Quadrant side of the city. And I jumped at it because, number one, I would be guaranteed, it was a 2-year position, and I'd be guaranteed my position back in my teaching spot if I decided that it wasn't for me. But once I started doing it, I loved it. And that's when I ended up taking more classes and receiving more degrees. And then during that time, I also got married, moved to the Cape, which led me to then to make a decision on, did I want to start applying for positions as a teacher or as an administrator. And I ended up going the administrative route. And throughout that time, I became the assistant principal. So I was a teacher, then I was professional development coordinator. Then I became an assistant principal. And with that job, I was also the special education team chairperson. And then I went from that to being a principal, to then special education director and assistant superintendent of schools. And then I applied here as the executive director of Pilgrim Area Collaborative 8 years ago. I've been in education now 35 years. And 8 years ago, I started here at Pilgrim Area Collaborative, and I love it.
It's a long history you have there. Speaking of which, what was your craziest experience in relation to your teaching career or administrative career?
Craziest, guys must have come up with these questions. My craziest experience. Well, I think that I have crazy experiences that I've had to handle in teaching as well as in administration. And some of those are just going to stay in the vault because they have to do with students and staff. But I think that I loved being a principal, and we had a reading incentive program going on that year, and the students got to decide that if they met the expectation of reading so many hours within a certain amount of time that was calculated throughout the year, then at the end of the year, the sign that was basically a banner in the front hallway of the school was that Dr. Thomas would kiss a pig if we read all of these hours. And guess what? I had to kiss a pig. So the pig was brought into the school, and there's a great picture of me kissing a pig. So I think that's probably the craziest. And like I said, the other fun things are going to stay in the vault.
Going back on education, phys ed, what was your favorite sport, if you were into any, and did you play any in school?
So in school, I did, I was a competitive swimmer back in the day, so I did a lot of swimming. In the city, you had a lot of public pools as well as at your high schools, etc. And so I loved competitive swimming, so that was important. I also, being the product of immigrant parents from Ireland, I was an Irish step dancer for many, many, many years and competed all over the United States and in Ireland. And then the fun things, like this year was a perfect year. I love to ski. Skiing, the snow, the powder snow was just wonderful. I like to golf. I'm not as good as I'd like to be in golf, but I like to golf. And then some other kind of, fun things that I do. I'll wait on that because you might ask me some other questions, and I don't know if I want to share all that yet.
What is one thing that stands out at Pilgrim Area Collaborative that makes you want to work so hard here?
It's the students. I've always been a fierce advocate for students and what students' needs are, what we need to be able to provide our students, and that's always been my focus from starting off in an inner city school and realizing that every child comes with different complexities, different home lives, different social or economic or what have you differences, and being able to provide as much support, as a teacher, but then also as an administrator, being able to advocate for what students and staff need to be able to provide everything possible for our students. I've also traveled a lot, and I have visited schools abroad. I've also visited schools within the United States, and I am so proud that, number one, I work in Massachusetts and that I've raised my own family in Massachusetts. And the reason for that is because when you compare us to other places within our own country and with other places outside of our country, there's a profound difference in what we provide our children, especially ages 3 to 22, and the amount of supports, the special education that children receive, and the public schools. And again, Massachusetts has been number one in the country for a very long time in education and in the medical field, which is a great place another reason why Massachusetts is great. But I do feel strongly that when you do see and have experiences in other places and other schools and other countries, that it is nice when you are grateful for what we are able to provide our students and our families here in Massachusetts.
How would you describe the vibe that we have here at PAC to someone who has never been here before?
I think the vibe here is that it's a very supportive place to come to school as well as to work. I feel that the students build strong relationships with the staff. I feel that our staff really loves what they do, because teaching is hard work and leading is hard work. And I believe that the relationships that they have with one another and with the student population is something to be very proud of. I also feel strongly, because I experienced this, if you recall, back in March 2020, we ended up having the whole country, the whole world was faced with COVID pandemic, right? And I was here, and we were notified that the schools were shutting in.
I'm sorry. It's like this is the exact anniversary. This is 6 years.
Today is the anniversary of the government world shutdown.
Oh, is it today?
Today.
It
Oh,
literally
wow.
is today.
Wow! So this is perfect for me to talk about. And so with us being notified that we need to shut down because of the pandemic, we ended up closing our doors on one day. And then the next day we did not know, but we had to flip to online learning. And that was a difficult time. It was a difficult time for all of us. It was a very isolated time. It was difficult for students who went from being, in schools and learning hands-on and building relationships and having one another, to go visit and see every day, to switching. And then it was also really difficult for staff. Because staff had to now think of ways everything was now online. I remember during that time we were in between technology directors too, and it was our central office who were filling in for that were superb in making sure that staff and students had everything that they needed. I remember driving around and dropping off Chromebooks to students and Chromebooks and things to staff throughout that time. And I think that during that difficult time, we learned a few lessons. One, I was so proud of Pilgrim Area Collaborative staff, because throughout the 3 months before we reopened in July, so many of them were there for one another. They were there for their students, but they were always reaching out to me and asking, when can we get our students back in school? They need to be back in school with us. And we were one of the first schools and first as a collaborative to have our students back in school with our staff. And it's because of our staff. Our staff were the ones that really wanted to be back. They wanted to just be able to support one another and be able to support their students. And so we came back, and we have been open ever since. I also think another lesson that was learned since then is, I've been doing this for 35 years, and during the time there's been discussions of, who knows if there's going to be teachers. Technology might be teaching the world and teaching everyone. And what we did take away from that learning experience with COVID pandemic was that you have to have varying ways to teach and learn, and that there isn't just one way. And some staff and some students are very comfortable online learning, and some staff and some students need to be in person. And then there are the people that can balance and maybe have a little bit. But I think of technology as a resource and as a tool, but I don't believe it's ever going to take the place of the actual teacher, their expertise, their relationship building, etc. So that was a lot, Noah, but thank you for listening.
What are some activities that you do outside of your working environment that some may find interesting?
Jet skiing. I love speed. I'm a big jet skier. Love it. I live on Cape Cod, and we're at the beach a lot, and jet skiing is just something that I have always enjoyed. I think that people also I do love roller coasters. I think that ties right into speed. I love that. And then I think people would also be surprised to know that when I was in Australia, I bungee jumped twice in the rainforest and the Great Barrier Reef. And so that was fun. And I've also gone skydiving. So you can see a theme there. I'll leave it at that. I like speed.
Thank you, Noah, and thank you, Dympna. I'm Caleb Green, and I'm going to be continuing. Do you have any hobbies that keep you occupied?
So for hobbies, as I said, some of the sports that I like to do, I shared those already. I also like board games. I'm big. We do a lot of family competitions, so we love that. We like puzzles.
So do I.
You do?
Yeah, I like puzzles a lot too.
Yeah. So we also are a card playing family, so we love that competition. We have a interesting canasta game going right now. And the other thing is I like a lot of walking, like on the beach, on the canal. I like to take some exercise classes. And then in between all that stuff, of course, I have work, and I have family, and I have cleaning and cooking and all that kind of fun stuff that comes with just growing up, right? And just being a part of, like, we all have responsibilities. So I have all that going on.
Nice. Do you have any pets?
So my daughter went off to college and then came back home to live and brought a dog.
Oh.
Yes, so we have an adorable dog named Honey.
Oh, that's a cute
And
name.
she is a cutie pie. And so we all end up taking care of Honey because my daughter is also working. I have 3 children, so
Oh,
Colin
nice.
and then Anya and Kayla. And so the 3 of them are working, and so we all kind of balance taking care of the dog.
What kind of dog breed is it?
She's a Chihuahua.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she can be fun or...
Chaotic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, my grandmother had one too. We ended up having it at my house for a bit.
Yeah, they're great.
He hated me. Yeah, it was... What's your favorite food?
So my favorite food, I probably would say pizza. I love pizza and
So
salad. That's like my combination. I think that another thing that I have to be careful, especially right now, because my mother lives with us. My mother has vascular dementia, and so she lives with us. But it's interesting with the brain, because even though she's cognitively impaired and there are certain things that she struggles with, she still makes the best Irish raisin bread and wheat bread.
Ooh.
And when that comes out of the oven nice and hot, I could eat the whole loaf. So that's probably my most favorite, but I have to be careful not to eat too much of it.
I've never had that kind of bread, but I might try it, right? Is there a hobby or skill you've always wanted to learn but haven't had the time for yet?
Yes, so my plan is to eventually retire from Pilgrim Area Collaborative. And when I retire, I'm going to have my own time. So I plan on spending more of that with my family and friends and traveling. But something that I know I want to do is absolutely get better in golf. I love being out on the golf course. I love the serenity of the golf course. And so I absolutely want to take lessons. I have taken some lessons, but I haven't had the time to go every day to really put those lessons, like the transference of skill, to take the lesson and really make it happen consistently.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to that. My son's a great golfer, and he has worked at a very prestigious golf course on Cape Cod. And so we've gone out, and I know that he will be kind to me when I want to learn more little skills on how to better my golf game.
That sounds nice. Thank you, Dypna. Is there anything else you have to say?
I just want to say thank you for having me today, and I am so impressed with the professionalism of you boys. This is just a wonderful class, and I also want to thank Mark Wood because Mark was the one that came up with these ideas. Mark is the one that put all of this together with his expertise. And so I want to thank Mark for everything that he has provided and continues to share here at Pilgrim Academy. And great job, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Caleb Green, and on behalf of